everyone, welcome to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper. Lerner Loewe's My Fair Lady is back on Broadway in a lavish new production from Lincoln Center Theater. The stellar cast tells the story of Eliza Doolittle, a young Cockney flower seller, and Henry Higgins, a linguistics professor who's determined to transform her into his idea of a proper lady. Here today to talk about their roles in the iconic musical is Christian Dante White and JoAnna Rhinehart.
Hey.
How you guys doing today?
Wonderful, wonderful. So happy to be here.
Thank you. We're so glad to have you, especially the weather's finally perked up a little bit, so people didn't have to brave the cold to get here. I got to check out the show actually a few days ago, and it was so much fun. Christian, I know you just started in the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, January 8th.
Yeah, so are you kind of getting used to it now?
It's getting there. I'm still working. I'm still previewing, but I'm having a blast. The company is just glorious, start to finish, so I'm just happy to be there, and I'm having a blast up there with everybody.
And you guys had a couple new principals start, and so you've been in the show since the beginning. What is it like when the new people come in, and what is that like transition period like?
Well, this is my first Broadway show, first I have to say, and thank you. Yeah, I'm so thrilled that this is my very first one. I'm a bit spoiled, I've already realized. I have to honestly say, at first it was a little disarming because I've never experienced this before, and we developed a bit of a family, over the year or 8 to 9 months that we were on. And then when new people came, it was like, oh, families leaving and new families coming. Okay, this is interesting. So it's almost like another, just a resurgence of energy, and vitality that comes into the show. And it's what I have learned, though, is that it's really very much like an extended family. A lot of the folks that were in the show with me from the beginning have worked with Christian, so it's like, so this is really just sort of an extension of the family that I've grown to love and adore. Broadway's kind of awesome that way.
We're a small elite group, right? It was just what we always say. So.
Yeah.
And I mean, and these people coming in are no schlubs.
Yeah, they're
Laura
pretty good. Yeah,
Danny a little bit. Danny a little.
Yeah, Laura.
Christian.
Yeah, a little bit. Rosemary Harris, a little bit.
Right, exactly.
They're pretty good.
So Laura, I just want to know, I actually didn't realize that she had started when I saw it, but I was like, oh my God. So getting to see her kind of work, what has that been like to seeing her kind of, because this role was something she always wanted to play.
That's my understanding. It was, once again, an interesting transition from working with Lauren Ambrose and working with Laura Benanti. But I love it, though, because there's all these other beautiful qualities that she, as a human, is able to bring that are, different, but once again, very much ingrained in Eliza Doolittle and her growth in the play. So, yeah.
And you're playing Freddie Insford Hill. You're playing his mother.
That's right.
And from my research, you guys are the first Black actors to portray these roles.
That's right.
Can we clap it up for that?
Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because My Fair Lady is a traditionally very white show. And so can you take me through sort of the thought process, maybe with the casting director, of colorblind casting with this?
Well, I actually, when I was called in, I was called in to read as an actor. I mean, this is, like I said, once again, my first Broadway show and definitely my first musical. So I was just focused on the character and not really concerned about color, to be honest with you, because I know that, there were black people in Britain from 1904 to like 1911. I mean, so they were there in 1914. I read this great book called Black Edwardians by Jeffrey Green, and he basically explains how how people of color from the islands, from America, from Africa, were very present in many stages and in many levels in Britain at that time. So because I did that research, it was just obvious to me that, of course, this woman is of means, living in this country with her beautiful children. Initially, both of my children were biracial, and I love the fact now that Jordan is very clearly a brown man, and that has kind of heightened, I think, the intensity, and it has heightened the interest, of people in general. I think it's important for folks to know that people of color have always been in every society throughout the world from the beginning. And it's just wonderful to be able to be in a play and to be in a location like this. Lincoln Center Theater is awesome. Bartlett Sher is a genius because he wasn't afraid to claim this and own it. So it has less to do with colorblind casting and more to do with the authenticity of that time.
And how about for you?
piggybacking on everything she just brilliantly said, I talked to Bart, and he told me that he made it a conscious decision to make sure that it was a black whole family, that I had a black mother and a black sister, and it wasn't just random beautiful colors up there. He wanted people to see a full dimension up there, which I think is so important. But also, that's, to me, the legacy of Lincoln Center Theater. They are always pushing the envelope and making sure that there are diverse casts up there. So this is just another chapter that we get to carry on the torch with. So we take that responsibility on with great pride, being up there, because representation does matter. Because I saw a little black boy the other day in the second row, and that means something to us when we're up there.
100%. I mean, Broadway definitely has had that impression of being a kind of a white space, and we're seeing more and more. I get to go to the theater quite often. I'm really lucky in that way. And I have seen it more often where the chorus is more diverse, the leads are more diverse. Do you see that that's a trend happening in theater, or something that is going to continue?
We're getting there. We still have a long way to go, but we're getting there because it also is a business. And I think people are also saying that people will come out, they want to see different colors of the rainbow. It is a part of where we are in the world right now. And to me, theater reflects community. And so we need more colors up there. And also, Glenn Close said in an interview the other week with The Hollywood Reporter, now that we're being more inclusive of other different races and genders, look at the pool of talent that's going to come out of that. So I'm excited for the new talent to be able to shine, to be able to show what they do. So it's time. We got to keep pressing forward with this.
Yeah. I came up with the Cinderella. You remember the TV
with Brandy? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And like Whoopi Goldberg. So for me, I'm like, it should all be like that. Like, I don't care what race people are. Like, I
Whoopi
want
Goldberg
the best
should be
person
everyone's
for the job.
mother.
Can Whoopi Goldberg please be my mom? That's so fun. I mean, that would be a dream.
Yeah. It's really heartwarming, as Christian was just saying, to see these beautiful young people of color in the audience and their eyes all wide and bright, and the realization, it's like, oh, I can do this too. Mm-hmm. This isn't a foreign land. Mm-hmm. And it's like these folks seeing this, and the fact that we enjoy the show too, that's another thing. It's almost a shame that we enjoy it so much. I mean, it's work, but it's like it's one of the best jobs ever.
It looks like you guys are having fun. And that theater is so intimate also.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah, there's not a bad seat.
Yep.
And the action really plays really close to the edge as well. So for the viewer, it's really fun. You feel like you're in it. The energy is amazing.
Well, yeah, we want to invite you to London. Come to London with us.
I'll bring you on stage.
Bring you on stage.
Costume.
I mean, do not threaten me with a good time.
Okay, come with me. Let's go.
I cannot sing at all.
That's okay.
But I have a lot of heart.
Yeah, well, that's what it takes.
Yeah, speaking of singing, you are tasked with singing the iconic song On the Street Where You Live. Anybody who's seen either the musical or the movie, this is a huge song.
Right.
So what was it like taking that on for the first time?
I mean, I'm the most blessed kid in the whole wide world to be able to sing that gorgeous song by myself on that stage every night. I'm so lucky because when I began, the creators were really particular about me making this my own, so I didn't feel any type of pressure and really finding it and finding what was underneath it. So I'm still digging and figuring it out, but I'm having a blast doing it, and I just love that I get to sing that with that gorgeous orchestra every single night. It really is special, and also because that song, that was a time when back in the day that recording artists were recording songs like this, and this is one of the songs that were recorded. Like Frank Sinatra has done a version, and you could go through the whole list. So to be able to add to that just feels so awesome.
Yeah, in prepping, do you watch the other performers who have sung this song, or
I did not, because I didn't want to fall into there. I tried to approach it from a blank canvas, and then just keep adding to the colors and just keep. I'm still building and finding things, but I'm trying not to listen to the other people. I'm trying to stay on my thing, because I want people to hear it like they're hearing it for the first time, because it's me doing it, and I just want my heart and my spirit in it, my little hot sauce, So I'm focused on making it my own. So, and I'm having a blast doing it.
Well, you're killing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Thank
wonderful.
I'm curious for both of you. It is such a big show. It's such an iconic show. How do you stay in the moment? How do you stay? Because I'd imagine sometimes you just kind of maybe get caught up in how big everything is. How do you stay focused and in the moment?
Well, I'm a member of the Actors Studio. And I say this only because the work is always about just reinventing and looking for new nuances or just new colors or new, the technique. It brings in whatever happened to you that day. You bring it into the theater with you. It could be useful. or it could not. But at the end of the day, when you're on stage and you're working, it's like, well, let me see if I can bring in that color, or let me see if I can bring in that dynamic. And so it keeps it alive. And I think that when it's alive and then you're looking into the eyes of the other actor that you're working with, you know, you see that there's a aliveness there and there's a presence there. So for me, it's really about just trying to find new things to bring in, not to, you know, distract from what's been said and what's been, but just to sort of keep it like a living moment, very much like this. Actually, you know, within the structure of the play, with the lines that you are given, but you can always infuse them with new energy and new life, and so that's sort of how I roll with that. Yeah.
That brings up, like, every time you perform that song, is it always the same or is it different?
It's different every single night. Some nights I'm like, ugh. Some nights I'm like, yes. Some nights I'm like, you know. But you just have to, you know, our whole day is built around getting to that stage every night, taking care of ourselves, getting rest, eating properly. I work out near this place right now. Like, it's all about getting on that stage and the technique. And also, we're very grateful to be there, and we take our jobs very seriously because our audience has spent money to see our show every night, and we want them to have a great time, and it's what we do. We love what we do. But I know me, I like to get like in a place of stillness and just be open, and I'm on stage. How many people are in our cast? 20?
Well, it's like 34,
There's
34
34
people.
of us rolling around
32.
that are all brilliant. So, you know, like she said, like looking into each other's eyes, and we're a team when we're an ensemble when we get up there, and we all kind of like pass the ball. Okay, now your turn, you know. So that's a part of our job, and that's what makes it so fun and different every single night.
Do you have a pre-show ritual?
Why am I hesitating? Because my rituals, it's so normal. I just, you know, I have my dinner a half hour before, and, you know, when I do my vocal warm up, you know, I kind of do it privately because there's just so many of us, you know, to try to not, you know, distract from what other people are doing. But nothing too crazy. I mean, nothing crazy.
I'm always eating and coffee. That's my ritual, just eating and lots of coffee, just too much coffee.
I like how you said eat 30 minutes before. I was like, is it like swimming where you can't
Well, you know,
perform right after you eat?
well, it's just that since it's a 3-hour show, and I'm on as Mrs. Eynsford Hill, but I also play a few other characters. So basically, when I'm off stage, if I'm not prepping for Mrs. Eynsford Hill, I'm prepping for another character. So it's really about just trying to keep the energy level up, and then, you know, snacking throughout. But I try to stay away from the candy. We have this candy bowl that's in the hallway that we're all kind of digging through. So I'm guilty at some points, but I try to refrain from the sugar so that I don't have a sugar crash, because, you know, that is not a good thing at all. So that's why the half hour before seems to get me in a good place where I'm actually doing fine throughout the rest of the show.
Another thing I really loved about My Fair Lady this time around is, and this is something that's been written about, is that it's really kind of updated in as many ways as they could, right?
Right.
So I saw there's a scene with the suffragettes kind of going through.
Yeah.
And then
The Women's March last week, that was
exactly.
really special.
And
Yeah.
it made me think about that. And then obviously Eliza's confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And the ending is different than the original play, or musical. So what do you think about that, the way they sort of tweaked little things to make Eliza maybe a little stronger, a little more confident?
Well, I love it. I mean, I think it's right. It's timely. You know, Bart, thank God for him and his realization that you have to, when you're working with a classic like this and you want to bring it into, you know, present time, you have to incorporate some of the new things that are important to people today. You know, the fact that her confidence builds, and they kind of grow together. You know, she helps to open his heart a bit, and then of course he educates her and makes her feel more confident in who she already is. I think she already has that level of intelligence within her, but once again, she just needed the opportunity to discover it on her own. You know, and it updates it. And I have to say that also I think it's about building a younger audience for Lincoln Center Theater and for other theaters. You know, we have to bring in the young people, and I think that little change, as subtle as it is tremendous. It's huge, you know, for young women, also for young men, and, you know, everyone across the board, but in particular for the young people to see that there's something here for me. You know, there's things that are being, you know, addressed that directly affect me. You know, so I think it's important because of that, or for that.
The way Higgins talks to her, you know, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And in 2019, you're like,
That's not going
yeah.
wrong.
So that little tweak was actually quite a big, I think, tweak for me specifically. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
What are your favorite scenes in the musical? Because when I was watching, I was like, there's so many moments that pop
Oh
out.
my gosh, there are so many. My favorite is actually when I'm not doing anything, there's a moment where we go back to Covent Garden in Act 2, and Eliza just crosses downstage, and there's a huge scene change. When the orchestra comes in, it's like a movie magical moment, and I'm just standing there, and I'm like, I'm at Lincoln Center Theater right now. That's one of my, and I personally, my favorite moments are watching other actors. Like, I love to watch Harry work. I love to watch Danny work. I love to watch Laura work. I like to watch Rosemary work. So my favorite moments are when I'm not doing anything, when I can watch other people, because I love to watch and I love to learn. But there's so many in this show because everyone's so brilliant. Yeah.
Gosh.
Sticks out for you.
Oh, wow, there's so many. There's so many.
When I'm singing.
Of course, darling. You when you're singing, of course. No, and we're joking, but no, it's absolutely true. No, it is actually it's a glorious moment. The conservatory, I think, is a revelatory moment, and I think it's wonderful, because that's sort of when she really kind of stands up to him, and then that's when you really see that his heart is really open, The opening. The opening itself, even though I'm not very kind in the opening, the whole point is to set the disparity between the have and the have-nots, but just the lushness of it and how we're able to kind of sweep people into the story with us, because you can see it on their faces. You can see when they're like, "Oh, I'm in London," or it really feels like they're a part of it. The opening Ascot, because Ascot is just fun. Ascot's fun. We're in these gorgeous, gorgeous costumes. Catherine Zuber, love her, and to be so pulled up and tight and pretentious, but we're really not.
Right.
So we present a certain thing, and then of course it's completely something completely different. But there's a lot of moments. It's really
Get Me to the Church is quite epic too.
Church.
I want to be in
Church.
that number so bad. I always watch that number like, put me in, coach, but but that number, and Danny is so brilliant. And you gotta see
that
it
was
again.
such
Come
a
on.
fun, and he fully commits. He's on that table like at the end. I was like, that was a full
That's the number we're putting you in when you join
yes.
us.
I could do a high kick like it won't.
Absolutely.
Done.
Oh, and I'll take
Cast.
care of you, honey. It's fine. Don't worry about it. My character in that particular scene, her name is Sativa Lee Anderson.
Ooh.
Yeah. And she's the one that takes care of everybody. She's the one, like, after the club closes, she invites everybody to the house to have some grits and eggs, and some pancakes, and then sends after hours and sends them on their way,
No sugar, though.
No sugar. Exactly. No sugar.
I'm gonna crash. I have to say, also another breakout moment for me was the first time that the library is revealed.
Oh, yeah.
That set is unlike
Isn't it
anything
gorgeous?
I've really ever seen. It was so impressive.
27,000 pounds.
And it just glides.
It glides.
It's beautiful.
I don't want to tell you the secret, so I'm not going to tell you.
Telling the secret.
I was just about to, but I'm not going to tell you the secret.
Wait, what's the secret?
Oh,
It's not on wheels?
Gotta come to the Vivian
gotta
Beaumont.
levitating? What is it?
Can't tell. No.
You got to come to the show.
I did come to the show, and I don't know what the secret is.
When you're
come
in the show, we'll
backstage.
tell
Okay.
you.
Oh,
When you're
that-
in the
oh, that's so
show.
funny.
I know you guys
And
keep
you're eating your
teasing me, but I
grits.
do have secret Broadway dreams, so don't do this to me.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Come on.
Speaking of my secret Broadway dreams, you guys obviously are in these really robust roles right now, groundbreaking roles. What is another role that you would love to take on Broadway, a character that you've always loved and dreamed of playing?
I feel though it hasn't been written yet. I want to do something new. I've been fortunate to do these classic musical theater pieces, and I'm loving every second of it. But I feel there's some stories that need to be told that haven't been yet. So I'm putting it out there for something new that also is a representation of who I am and, men like me that can be told. So I'm waiting for it to be written, and it might be me that writes it. So there might be some stuff in my back pocket that you don't know about, but
I bet there is. And I'm going to go completely opposite, Cleopatra. I would love to play Cleopatra. Yeah.
Are you guys listening? Who's
Cleopatra.
Wants to play
Cleopatra.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we can make that happen.
Yeah, I've always wanted.
When she's gone playing Cleopatra, you can come in as my mother. See, we got this figured out for you.
We have it all figured out. Young
I love
mom,
this plan.
it works.
I love this plan. Whatever. We look the same age, first of all. Let's go to the audience really quick for some questions. Who do we have first?
Hi, how are you? I'm Ian. You mentioned reinvention. In both of your careers from then to now, has there been a moment of reinvention or rebranding or like a switch that you were like, I need to kind of change this up in order to move forward in my career?
there hasn't been a defining moment, but I think with each show that I do, with the actors that I do, I keep growing and I keep learning. You know, this is my 5th Broadway show, and every show I've done has been a stepping stone. I've learned something from someone, and I've grown as a human being and as an actor and as an artist. There hasn't been like a huge, you know, but this moment is huge because I'm playing a principal role, of course, and replacing in a show that already exists. So that was a different beast. But it's just been about growth and learning, because I feel like the more you go in this career, you're growing as a human being and changing, and the business changes. You just hold on as much as you can. So I'm all about just the growth and learning from each thing that I've done for me.
It's this play. I come from the land of TV and independent film, and I truly did not expect to be here. I might start getting emotional, forgive me if I do, but honestly, at a certain point in your career when you've worked in a certain genre, you just don't, I didn't expect Broadway to show up. I just didn't know that it was going to happen. And then when I went in, read for the part, and then sang, and then got the notification 2 hours later that I booked it, I was over the moon, crying. I went to Lincoln Center at one point and looked at the fountain. I was just like, I don't believe I'm actually going to be working here. This is incredible to me. I mean, so for me, it started probably when, forgive me, I digress just slightly. When I studied opera with this wonderful man, Kenneth Kamal Scott, who has since passed, I studied with him for 10 years. And when we were done, he was like, oh, what are you going to do with this voice now? What are you going to do? And at that point, I didn't know what I was going to do. So I think that was sort of the seed that he planted for me to feel confident when I go in for something like this, to be able to do what needs to be done to execute the role. So I would probably say it started with Kamal, and then when this opportunity came, my manager, Allison Renzel, a little shout out, she kind of pushed me into doing it, because I wasn't going to go to the audition. But thank God she had more sense than I did at the time. And you know what, I'm just so grateful to her and just happy to be here.
I love that story. And last question?
As an actor, what like attracts you to a play or makes you want to be part of a production?
Well, I can maybe speak on, I'm not at a point in my career where I'm choosing what I want. It kind of, we audition for it and we hope for the best. But I've been lucky that things that have happened to me, I was meant to be there, like with Hello Dolly, with Shuffle Along, with that group of people, and now with My Fair Lady. I'm just grateful that I've been able to be a part of these things. But I know I say no to some things, that auditions that come my way, because I feel like that doesn't speak to me, or that's not the story that I want to carry through. But it's more so about what aligning with auditioning, and then them calling you to be a part of it. But that's been my story so far, and you're supposed to be there. There's a place for you to learn from and grow from. So that's the space where I learn.
Well, could you repeat the question?
Basically, what attracts you to a play, or what makes you want to be part of a production?
Yeah, it's the script. It's whatever the script is. I mean, it's not like I'm picking and choosing also, but I do know that if I do have the opportunity to read the script before going in for the audition, that will help me to decide whether or not I even want to go to the audition. Because if it doesn't draw me, and if it doesn't entice me in some way, or if I don't feel I can grow in some way by working on it, or if I can offer enough of what I have to give to the world, if there's not a message that's beneath it that's going to actually help to enhance humanity. I mean, I know this sounds grand, but, at the end of the day, we're communicating with people, and we're opening doors and hopefully in some cases healing people. It comes down to the text for me. I've got to be captivated by it and pulled by it and feel that, yes, this is a part of a journey that I would love to be a part of.
And with a script like My Fair Lady,
I know.
It's like,
yeah,
obvious.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I had so much fun checking out My Fair Lady. It was my first time seeing it live, and so to see you guys up there too was extra special. And I just appreciate all the work and time you put into it, because it definitely pays off, and it's so fun for audiences.
We'll see you at the theater.
Yes,
joining us
you'll
soon.
see me starring in My Fair Lady at the Vivian
The new
Beaumont
My
Theater
Fair
at
Lady.
Lincoln Center. No, make sure you guys go check them out. They're amazing. Give it up for Christian, Dante White,
Thank
and
you.
JoAnna Rhinehart.